Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Spotlight on Addiction and Recovery. I'm your host, Scott Jones from Addiction Training Education Center. And I want to thank you for tuning in. If you're watching a replay of this, just a reminder, make sure you like this, share some comments with us, and certainly share this with your friends. I'm excited because I got a friend of mine here who, we've seen each other around quite a bit. We just got to know each other a little bit more in one of the trainings. But Tom Fabbricatore. Let's see. I wrote it down properly. Fabbricatore.
It's not easy to say.
It's not. I got a last name Jones.
Yeah.
It's like nobody ever gets my name wrong.
That would be impossible.
Does anybody get it right off the bat? Probably other Italians.
Your occasional Italian or Spanish people might say it right from time to time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Fabbricatore. We'll change that for our next show. But Tom, first of all, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. Now let's start off. I mean, you're in recovery.
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been sober now?
Sober 8.5 years. So really amazing to even say that. So grateful. I came down here after treatment. I went to treatment about 10 years ago in New York at a really amazing place called St. Christopher's in Harrison, New York. And the seed was planted. And I had a really amazing experience in this place. And I had a glimpse of a better life and a glimpse of maybe being a different person. And something profound happened to me in that place. And the main gist of what happened there was that I became willing to try something different. And they kind of suggested that I move to Florida and kind of engage in aftercare and get out of my exact lifestyle, which was headed nowhere. That's for sure. I was, I guess I was 33 maybe at that time, maybe 34. I was had a total illegal lifestyle, and I was in a bad relationship, and my life was burned to the ground for sure. I had to completely start over. So I came down here and I started over 100% from scratch.
So all your family, I assume, is still up in Manhattan or up in New York?
Yeah, my entire family is still up in New York. They all live in Brooklyn now, but I am born and raised in Manhattan. I've lived in Manhattan my entire life and came down here 10 years ago, attempted to, start over. And in fact, wasn't quite ready. As it turned out, I'm an alcoholic. I'm the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
My thinking, I thought just moving to Florida and maybe, kind of going to the gym and living in a halfway house was going to really do it for me. But pretty soon my disease tricked me into trying to find an easier, softer way. So I was abusing certain medications and I was trying to beat the game once again.
Right.
And that led me to, back to hard drugs, alcohol. And eventually I hit a very, very serious bottom out here. And I finally surrendered. So I've been sober now 8.5 years.
That's fantastic. What was your family situation when you left, and what is it now?
So, well, they were supportive and loving, but they were obviously concerned. They were, they didn't. This was new for all of us. I'm not somebody who went to treatment many times, or
right.
My family actually went to the family program at the treatment center that I was at, and that was kind of deep and awesome for all of us.
Wow.
And so they were really supportive. There was, they wanted me to change and grow, and they were scared and didn't know what the hell was going on, just like me. But they couldn't do anything for me. It was time for me to try something new. So
we got Lynn Serrano is joining us. Hey, Lynn, thank you. She's saying congratulations on your 8 years plus.
Thank you, Lynn.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean,
So yeah, they were supportive. This was, I'll be honest. I had the support of them. There was no more, they weren't enabling me or anything like that.
right.
And to be honest, I had to just be on a path that was really about me. Um, Again, I was not a kid. It was no longer cute. Not that it ever was. Don't get me wrong.
Right, right.
But I had to find my way.
And so you took the chance. You came down to Florida.
Yeah.
33 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
that's little tough. I mean, as you get older,
Yeah.
I mean, there are kind of those things that go through your head. It's like, I'm too old for this shit.
I'm too old for this.
Yeah.
It was a blow in a lot of ways. It was a blow to my ego, of course, which was totally out of whack, as is a very common part of this disease. Period. Just this kind of out of whack ego. But to be perfectly honest, listen, I never had a legal job. I was pretty substantial marijuana trafficker for many, many years in New York. And I was used to having a lot of cash, and I had to start from zero. I never had, I didn't know what I was doing. And so now here I was in a halfway house and didn't know where I was. I didn't have transportation. I didn't, it was scary and confusing and lonely and all of these things. And so here's the trouble. I didn't have alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
To
make it all better.
To make it all better.
Yeah.
To treat it. So I needed to figure out a way to get better, to be okay, to be comfortable in my own skin. And the way that I finally found that solution, because alcohol, quite frankly, used to be my solution for like what I now know to be my sobriety problem. And so that new solution was a spiritual program that I found in AA. And I started to I committed myself to AA, and I've been an active member ever since.
But you needed a treatment prior to being able to do that.
I did. Absolutely.
And we know, and we're going to talk about what you do in a minute, but we both know not everybody is right for treatment. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's not everybody needs to be in treatment.
No.
But you were one of those, you had to have that time.
I had to have
the
treatment.
Streets and
I needed to go to treatment. There's no doubt about it. I was not somebody who could, first of all, I needed medical detox. I mean, I had not been without chemicals in my system for 20 years. I mean, not a day.
Alcohol is really dangerous. I don't think people understand. They think like detoxing from heroin is dangerous. It is. But alcohol actually kills more people than are in detox.
As do benzos, which I was on those as well.
Oh, was you just doubling down?
I was quadrupling down.
Yeah,
let's be serious.
Absolutely.
So I did need treatment, and I now work in the treatment field, and I do tell people, separation from drugs and alcohol for an extended period of time is, if you have the opportunity, is it absolutely a necessity for everybody? Is everybody's situation potentially different? Yeah, absolutely. But some people, it's in your best interest, absolutely, to go to treatment.
Yeah, if nothing else, if somebody out there, somebody you love, or you yourself are considering that you might need some help with addictions, if you're not going to go to treatment and you're going to try another path, at least go see a doctor first. At least do that, because you may be in a situation where you need medical detox. And that's not something you can figure out on your own. No. And you don't want to wait until it's too late. No. Trying to detox at home under your own supervision is a scary, scary thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, but the times it doesn't could be devastating. So
absolutely.
Please, if your plan is not to go to treatment, at least go to your doctor, see if you need to go to the hospital, make sure you get checked out top to bottom, and be honest about what you're doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is hard to do. But you've got to.
Well, if you're serious about getting into recovery, you
Yeah.
have to at one point.
Absolutely.
Certainly.
It's about being honest.
Now, it's funny because you mentioned you never really hold a real job,
Yeah.
like a tax paying job kind of
No.
thing.
No.
So, were there a lot of deficits in your life that you realized now I'm 33 years old, I don't even know how to do basic, simple things?
Which was a major part of the fear, right, of getting sober, of facing myself, of facing potentially getting sober. So there's the fear of withdrawal, and there's a big barrier to getting sober and facing this kind of what seems to be insurmountable, daunting task for people. And I'm speaking from experience.
Yeah.
Is there's a lot seeming to be against you, and in my mind I was like, this is just too much. This is too much. What am I going to do? I was afraid of a lot of things. I was afraid of kind of growing up. On top of was I afraid of just getting sober? And that's the truth. And I say that because I can't be the only one who felt that way.
Absolutely not. Listen, in my experience, I think in working with with people for so many years, and my own recovery, as well as the recovery of my family members, it seems like one of the biggest failures in following through with recovery is I don't want all that responsibility.
Yes.
I don't want to grow up. I don't know how to do things, and it
Yes.
becomes hard.
Yes.
It's like I don't know how to fill out an application or write a
Yes.
resume. I don't know how to dress and talk to people.
Yes.
And it's like all the stuff that people learn when they're 18, 19, 20 years old. Now we've got people with addictions are coming back having to learn this in their 30s, 40s,
Yes.
and 50s.
Yes.
It's traumatic.
Yes.
It is it's not something you can joke off because it's such a hit to your psyche. It's easier to crawl back in the bottle
That's
or the pill
absolutely
or
right.
or the needle, right?
Which is what I was doing, and this is what I was running from for many years. It was easier. It seemed, at least, the delusion I was living in was that it was an easier option to stay, like you say, in that hole than to face it all. I was wrong. The power to do it all was there. I could not do it alone. I needed to get honest and ask for help. And it did require walking through some uncomfortable feelings. Look, that needs to be faced. There is no such thing as, getting sober without a little bit of discomfort. That, the only way out is through, but it is nowhere near as horrible as we all make it out to be in our heads before we go there. That's just not.
Well, sure. All fear is exaggerated.
That's
what
right.
might happen.
That's right.
So certainly that's an issue. Now, was there a moment, or maybe there's probably a lot of moments because I know I had them, where you did something and you're like, "Holy cow, I could
Yes.
do this."
Yes.
Do you remember a few of those moments? Or?
Yeah. So there really were. Honestly, it started in treatment. When I went to treatment, this was my first time going, and I had no idea what to expect. And when I went, I was I was uncomfortable. Physically, in the very beginning, I was uncomfortable, and I started to feel so much better. And the person that I was becoming just within my treatment stay, I started to become a leader in my treatment center, and I was getting responsibilities, and I was like leading meetings and things like that. And I was being recognized, and this might almost sound a little bit corny, and honestly, it almost maybe is, but I was facing life successfully even starting then, and I was so surprised that I was buying in starting then that this could be this was doable, that like this idea that I could be different, which I hadn't had thoughts like that in so many years. So yeah, it started in treatment, and then and you continue to have these little wins. Your first little coincidences start to happen when you realize that you're in the right place at the right time, and you start to get this feeling that maybe maybe the universe is kind of at your back. You know what I mean? You get your first job, and you get into the right living situation, and things start to, fall into place, and you kind of wake up one day and realize, wow, I've come a long way. You know what I mean? And you start to feel good. And so I noticed that first of all, when like this obsession to drink and use drugs was, when I noticed that was just vanished from my head, that
Yeah.
was a major turning point for me. I was like, I can't believe this. I'm not thinking about drinking or drugging. It's gone. It's not in my
Yeah.
head. That was a level of freedom that I didn't think was possible.
I remember those mornings waking up and saying, wow, I'm not like so obsessed and anxiety
Yeah,
ridden.
yeah,
And I actually physically
feel
feel
fine.
good.
Yeah,
And it's like, it had
which
been
I
so
didn't think was ever going to
long.
happen.
Right. It had been so long since I physically felt good, and physical and mental at the same time.
Right.
There were times when I physically might have felt good, but mentally I was crazy.
And when you catch yourself belly laughing,
Yes.
meanwhile, before treatment, you're telling yourself things like, oh my God, I'm never going to have fun again. As if in late stage addiction, you're having any fun at all. That's the lie in the first place.
Well, it's what I tell everybody. The lie is the high.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's nothing high about what you do.
Exactly.
You lower your intelligence. Everything's
Right.
lowered.
Right.
So it's numb and dumb is what it is.
Right.
There's nothing high about it. But
So
it's all a lie.
I was actually starting to have fun, and so I guess if I can say personally for me, there was this sense of maybe and this is vulnerable, sensitive stuff, but this is recovery talk, and it's real. And so there was this, you start to build self-esteem by doing esteemable things.
Right.
And so you start to feel good about yourself in a genuine way because you're living right. And I hadn't been living right for a long time. And so you start to see that you can face life successfully. And one day you realize that, hey, this is good. And so to be sober and happy at the same time. See, that's what I thought that wasn't possible. And when I saw that was possible, at that point, you're cruising. You know what I mean?
And I think part of that is also identifying the truth. You never were happy.
Right.
You might have thought you were.
Right.
And we tell ourselves that, oh, this is what I want to do. It's like,
right.
No, everything you want to do is just kind of out there, like unattainable. But
right.
now you start to see, hey, everything is possible.
Right.
And you gain that self-esteem, that self-awareness, that wow, here I come.
Right.
Look
That's
out.
Right. That's right.
So today, now you chose to stay down here in Florida.
Yeah.
And given the winters they've had up there, good choice, my friend.
Yes.
Good choice. I'm from Syracuse, so I understand.
Yeah.
Didn't spend much time in the city. I didn't know there was a difference between the Bronx and Manhattan and other places. But if I say there's not a difference, I find out about it from these guys.
Trust me, there's a difference.
They tell me there's a difference. But you're down here and you decide to work in treatment. What kind of brought that about for you to decide this is what I want to do?
Yeah. Well, so to be perfectly honest, there's a lot of the stuff that I do for this job that I do for fun and for free in my private life, as an active member in AA. And so, I'm kind of uniquely qualified to speak to this issue, to people struggling with this issue, because I have experience. This is who I am. This is what I've lived through. I went to treatment. I believe in treatment. But how I came to be in this position was quite simply that I had friends who, my first sponsor, worked in treatment, and he thought that, that I would be a good fit. He said, this kind of suits you, or you should take a look at this. I could probably help you get into my company. And he was basically offering me jobs for a while.
Right.
And I was like, nah, I think I'm okay. I was happy doing what I was doing. Eventually, the timing was such that I got another offer, and the position seemed so perfect that it just felt right. And I took it. So I found very quickly that the work suited me. It felt right. It felt good. I felt that it was something that I can do and do well. And it felt like you were helping people. And
Yes.
so I found that I love it. So I've been doing it ever since. Yeah.
Now, one of the things people don't talk enough about this is that there's a survival thing that goes on with us when we're out there in our active addiction. We do what we have to stay alive. People who don't have that don't make it very long in addiction. People die all the time.
Sure.
The ones who make it through, they've adapted survival instincts. And the truth is, some of those can become our strengths in recovery. The idea that, listen, if I could con my way through all of these things, it means I'm quick on my feet. Now, I just got to change my motivation, my goals, and how I use it. I just can't use it to con now, but I can use it to become maybe a better salesperson.
That's
or to
absolutely
become
right.
a better. So there were lessons learned out there that actually help you today.
That's
I don't want
absolutely
people to just put it all behind them and say, pretend it never existed.
That's absolutely
You
right.
have to use it, right?
Yeah, there's that's a good point. There's no doubt about it. So, it's a lot about redirected energy, and natural skills and talents that I always did have, and definitely stuff that was strengthened, just like you say,
Right.
in active addiction. There's no doubt about it. That you can kind of wake up and find yourself now in a position to direct in a positive way. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So, look, for me personally, I do find that I wake up now. When I say wake up, I mean like kind of metaphorically, like with like all this time and opportunity. I'm sober. I have power to create a life, and why not? I'm no longer waking up and shooting myself in the foot every day, getting drunk and high and destroying my life and burning it to the ground. Like I can make my life a success. I can sink my teeth into my career. I can, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm
Absolutely.
inspired. I'm inspired. I can work hard. I've got energy. I've got a clear mind. And so, yes. And so do I have skills that it does seem that addicts and alcoholics tend to have for whatever reason that can translate into the work that I do? Yeah, that's true too.
Well, that's one of one of the falsehoods is that there's no willpower.
Yeah,
The
of course.
reason you're an addict is there's no willpower. They have no idea how much willpower it takes to
Absolutely.
survive
Yeah.
an addicted life. We've got willpower. We've got motivation. We got everything we need.
Yeah,
What we didn't ever had was a healthy path and healthy goals.
that's right.
And if
That's
we
right.
can use those things on a healthy path and healthy goals, we can help
That's right.
so many people and do so many good things.
That's right. And that's something that I used to feel sorry for myself about, and something that I used to kind of obsess about for a really long time. Oh, I just don't know what I want to do. Well, the truth is, for me, I was never going to figure out what I want to do, or I was never going to have my path be revealed to me until I first got sober.
Right.
Until I first sat still, shut up, grew up, got a clear head, got humble, got honest, and let it open up. Let the universe open up to me, because I was not allowing anything positive to happen to me in my, at that time, state. It was never going to happen.
It wasn't going to happen. Plus the fact that we wanted our purpose to be something that
I wanted it
win
to
the
be,
lottery.
Yes, exactly.
Win the lottery.
I wanted it to be served to me on a platter with a bow around it, with zero effort, zero risk.
So any presentation of that path for you at that time would have been wasted words.
That's right.
But now you are where you are. You've been doing this for some time. I know the people in the community love you and they think you're fabulous. You are working with Retreat Behavioral Health.
Yes.
Which is they have multiple locations.
So Retreat Behavioral Health, we have 3 locations: Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and South Florida.
Where in Pennsylvania? Is it near Philly?
It's outside Philly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's at Prada.
Yeah, I know where that is.
Yeah. And then Connecticut and South Florida. So we do detox, residential, and all levels of outpatient. So we do substance abuse and primary mental health. And we're basically in network with every major insurance. That has been our model since inception. We've always been an in-network provider. So
Okay.
that makes us accessible to everyday folks. That's the point there.
Now, the conversations we're having, is this an awareness of retreat that people are coming in without any life skills at all? Is this something that you guys focus on or give thought to?
Absolutely. So, I mean, we realize that people have a lot. So a big benefit to going to treatment is that people come in with all of these loose ends, and people come in with so many life skills kind of holding them back. And
Yeah.
so there's a whole team of people there to help you tie these things up and take a good look at these things and maybe help you. Look, I mean, you might have legal issues that you don't know how to manage. You might have, people you need assistance with people running interference with the courts, or you might have, situations at work where you need letters to be written for you. You might need help writing resumes or cover letters. You might need
applying for
jobs,
or
disability,
different
absolutely.
things like that.
And so we have professional case management team that's going to help you with all that stuff, so you can hit the ground running once you leave treatment. And that, of course, is on top of all of the different treatment modalities and therapy, holistic therapy, as well as the different group therapies and one-on-one therapy with master's level clinicians and psychologists, psychiatrists. You're going to see the medical doctors. You're going to get an opportunity to have a full medical detox. And then, of course, we're going to set you up with aftercare options as well, because the idea being that we wrap services around people for as long as possible, because that is usually the best chance for success.
Mary Kay, a friend of mine from up in Canada, is commenting that it's an amazing insight and perspective about willpower. Yes, absolutely. And harnessing that willpower in somebody, that's something that treatment centers. I mean, it's not the old days, and this goes back years before you and I were sober. I mean, it was all about just breaking people down and making them, it's like you're a horrible human being,
Right.
and breaking them down. That doesn't work. That's why those centers don't exist anymore.
Right.
This has got to be about looking at an individual, finding out what is their key, what is their step, and help them. And every treatment center out there says, individual, and we care about the individuals. I think they retreat. They put their money where their mouth is with
Absolutely.
this stuff, right?
So it's individualized care. So it's about tailoring a treatment plan for the individual. And so that hardcore tough love approach, while there may be a place for it in, broadly speaking, it is about finding out what makes an individual tick. And so that needs to be at the forefront on figuring out how to treat somebody.
Right.
And that is the approach that we take at the retreat.
How about the staff there? You could have a beautiful building, and I know they do. I know their campus is beautiful.
Yeah.
At least the one in Florida. I'm sure the other ones are just as nice.
No, it's beautiful. But that's not everything.
But listen, the staff is the most important thing is how the staff interacts.
So we have luxury amenities, and we have a beautiful campus at all 3 locations, and that is important, I must say. Listen, aesthetically, the first 48 hours when somebody comes to treatment, especially if it's somebody who might be new or scared or resistant, or maybe somebody coming from an intervention, if the surroundings are beautiful, that could dramatically increase the odds of them just, staying. And ultimately what we want is people to make it through those first few days, so that ultimately they stay through the entire treatment episode. And that's what we want. We want people to stay and have success. So a beautiful place is great. How could that not be great? But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is a staff that's committed, and a staff that cares, and a staff that's inspired. So we have that, and it's kind of from the top down. And you can kind of feel that. So, from our owner is, he breathes and sleeps retreat. He just happens to be a sober man himself. And so our staff is a deeply committed people that go above and beyond and lead with their heart. And it's a nice thing to see.
I was going to bring up owner because I didn't want to put you in a bad position to say the wrong thing about owner, and next thing you know,
Yeah.
you're looking at me for a job. But it's hard to say anything bad about.
Yeah,
the owner.
no, he's a good man.
It's near impossible. And one of the things that you really shows that if you look up the Retreat Behavioral Health record of community service and community involvement, they're involved in opioid task force and fentanyl task force and building awareness and fundraising for organizations. And so it's important that the footprint in the community is as healthy as you want your clients to be.
That's really well put. Thank you for saying that. So the retreat is all about being community based and serving the community that we're in. That's the entire model for us. And so we're extremely active, and the reputation of the retreat is that we are here to serve the community and play a vital role by being hands-on and participating in as many useful and helpful to the community type of outreach organizations and trying to really make an impact in as many ways as we can. And that's Peter Shore all day. That's how he's built. And that's the company that he's created.
Now I know he travels. He spends almost equal time at all the places.
Yeah.
Where does he live though?
He does live in Florida.
He does live in Florida.
And I would say that his kind of home base is Florida, and that's where he keeps his main office
at our
vibe. Facility.
He had that vibe.
Yeah. He's got the tan.
It's a good. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Not me, but he does.
And he does have an office at the retreat.
Right.
Our location here in Florida. And that's one of the reasons I came to the retreat. An opportunity to work at a company where you get to know on the first name basis and be friendly with and have a relationship with the owner, a man that you could know and respect and have ear time with. Yeah. I mean, he treats me like a friend, which is that goes a long way. That's a beautiful feeling.
Well, you and I know a lot of these places that get themselves in trouble.
Yeah.
In a lot of those cases, the majority of those cases, it's kind of absentee ownership.
That's exactly right. And they're just kind of
they're pulling strings from the background, but they're not involved.
Corporate feeling or nameless, faceless, conglomerate type vibes. That's not it. That's not it. That's not what treatment is supposed to feel like. And so it's very interesting, I would say, and I don't know that I've ever said this out loud, but this is my personal feeling, which is good for me almost selfishly as like an employee, but I think it also is really what the vibe is. The retreat has struck up a very, very interesting and unique vibe of being a perfect combination from a business perspective of just the right amount of corporate combined with mom and pop. And it's something that I haven't seen duplicated anywhere else.
That's a difficult thing to balance, especially in any kind of healthcare.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I
haven't seen it anywhere else.
The needs of the business with the needs of the client, and making that so that the benefit, and if it's done right with the right balance, both grow.
Right.
Both become amazing.
That's what seems to be the case here. Yeah.
And I love that. And we get the same vibe because when you walk through that place, you're thinking like, this is kind of fancy schmancy.
Right.
But then they walk through there and people are giving you hugs.
Well, and then you see the owner in the lunchroom.
Yeah. And yes, exactly.
So it's weird. It's interesting.
Exactly. So it's an amazing place. If people want to check out Retreat Behavioral Health, first of all, they go online and what is the address?
retreatbehavioralhealth.com.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Retreatbehavioralhealth.com. And if they want to, would you want them to call you directly? People can call you.
So yeah, please. Anybody who's might be watching this or listening to us today, feel free to reach out to me directly. My phone number is 561-777-0814. If anybody watching this might be struggling or has a family member that's struggling or just maybe even has a question, this is what I do. I'm available day or night through phone call or text. So feel free to reach out to me, or you can email me at Thomas F. So that's my first name, Thomas, first initial of my last name, F. That's F like Frank, at retreatmail.com.
There we go. And do the phone number one more time.
561-777-0814.
Listen, people, give Tom a call. The only dumb question is the one you don't ask. If you have a question about addiction, if you're concerned, you're not just going to automatically assume everybody's got a problem. You want to talk to them and find out,
of course not,
and see if you can help people.
And for the record, it's got to start with a phone call, and there's no pressure or commitment either. It's just maybe I could direct you into what it is that might be best for you. And it's also not always the best fit for somebody to go to the retreat. My job is to help people arrive at the appropriate solution for them. So depending on somebody's particular needs, they might not be appropriate for the retreat. So I would be able to direct you to what I thought might be the best choice as a professional. So give me a call and I'll help you talk it out.
I like to wrap it up with a final question, personal question. You can decide if you want to answer this or not. But the greatest gift of my recovery and the biggest surprise of my recovery is what? Moment of silence there for minutes. We'll be with you in a minute while he formulates an answer. The screen is not frozen. That's a tough question, isn't it? But
I'm just trying to be thoughtful and honest as possible. And I think the greatest gift of my recovery would be an honest and genuine sense of peace of mind and a sense of peace of mind and serenity. Listen, I'm going to tell you something else. The things I wanted in the beginning were only material.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
And I'll be frank with you. I have those things.
Right.
But they're not the things that when I answer you honestly right now, they're not the greatest gifts. The greatest gifts are the sense that I don't have this terrible anxiety in my chest anymore. I can just travel lightly through life in a way that I never thought was possible.
I understand. I had the same thing. In my greatest gift in my recovery was my ability to allow myself to be loved. I always knew I loved everyone, and I thought everyone hated me, and I could not accept that I'm loved by people.
Wow.
And being able to accept that love from others has been the greatest gift.
Wow.
Because when you have children, if you can't accept love, it's very hard to look at them in the face.
Wow.
And that was one of the things I went through. But that was my greatest gift. And I love your answer too, that peace of mind, because you never thought you would ever have that.
No.
It's just like, I'll just accept the fact that there's always going to be a bag of cats up here, right? It's just going to be chaos. But I am so glad you're here, my friend.
Me too.
Tom, as always, I wish you the best of everything. Please check out retreatbehavioralhealth.com. Check it out. Listen, you're going to see pretty pictures and all that, but you could see that at any website. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to look up the number and call them, or call Tom with the number he gave you, or call them and talk to them. Talk to them if you need to talk, and really get the feeling for yourself about what they're all about. It's an incredible place. I am very proud to be associated with them and associated with you, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. You have yourself a great day. And thank you, everybody, for watching Spotlight on Addiction and Recovery right here by Addiction Training Education Center. We'll catch you next time. Oh, we do have wow, wait a minute. Before we go, I have to acknowledge Michael joined us and he said, awesome. Sandy joined us. Wonderfully stated. All right. Fantastic. Guys, thank you for joining us. Remember to share this with your friends. We'll catch you next time.